Hi everyone, Nessie here. I have another journal I'd like to show you. This one's been taken me quite a while to make it. It's a lot bigger than what I normally do. I normally do around A5 size, and this is more of a B5 size. And also I have had to do a lot of fussy cutting with this one, and it takes time. But anyway, it's a flower fairy journal, and I haven't used any kits in this at all. I have over the years collected quite a few of these flower fairy type books. I have loads of different ones, and these are by, is it Cecily Mary Baker? Cecily Mary Baker, and she has the most beautiful images. So I've wanted to do one of hers for a long time. So I've used these books, and what I did was I also used the Edith Holden books, because I've seen people do it on Facebook before and I really liked the idea. So what I tried to do was I tried to marry up the flowers in the Edith Holden book that coincided with the flower fairy. So like, for instance, this is the lavender flower fairy. So I looked for a picture in her books of lavender, which she actually didn't have one of lavender, and kind of put the two together to do my pages. So there's no kits in here. It's all fussy cut images from book pages. So this journal actually measures 10.5 inches by about 7 3/4 inches. So it is a big one. It is quite big. Its spine is 2.5 inches, and it has 3 signatures in, like you can see. Now the enclosure is not attached. It's just some tea dyed crumpled satin ribbon. It's not attached at all. I'm sure I can undo it. Yep, it's removable. Yeah, so it's a hardback. Sorry, I keep catching my ring on the cloth. It's a hardback cover, cardboard cover, and I've covered it in kind of like a plasticky type fabric. You know, you can get those tablecloths that you can wipe down. It's got like that wipeable fabric. It's that kind of fabric. So I've covered it in that with a flower print on it. And then on the front cover, I just put a sheet of music paper on, an image from the book that's been stitched. There are some paper flowers on here, and there is a scrap of fabric that I stamped the word journal on and have attached as well. So it says journal. Okay, I'm going to do my best to keep this in camera. Like I say, it is quite a large journal. I'm going to do my best to keep it in. I've had to put my camera quite high up so I can't actually see what I'm doing. So I'm going to do my best for you. So inside the front cover, there is a large pocket. Now what I've done is I've tried to label all the fairies so you know what they're called. And in the book, each fairy comes with its own song. So I have tried to include the image of the fairy and her song in the corresponding pocket. So on this one, it's the Traveller's Joy fairy. So in the pocket, there is her larger image, and then there is her song, like so. And they're all the journal cards have been backed, so they are backed. Some have been stitched, not all, but some have, but they are all backed. There are some pockets where I haven't been able to do that because I've only had like one image or stuff like that, but in most of them that's how it is. So there's the front cover. Then we have the crab apple fairy, because even though she calls them flower fairies, she also does tree fairies. So there are a lot of tree fairies in here, because to be honest, the tree fairies were my favourite. So here we have a bottom pocket where I have fussy cut the crab apple fairy, sorry. And what I've then done is found the crab apples in the Edith Holden book and fussy cut that out, stitched it, attached it to the top of the page so it looks like she's trying to catch the falling apples. And then in the pocket there is her actual image. You see the crab apples are different. And then there's her image, and then there's her song, Crab Apple Fairy. Next page is just blank. This tea dyed paper. It's been tea dyed and then coffee splotched on top. This is ledger paper that's just been tea dyed. It's quite nice thick ledger paper as well. On the other side there is a cluster of the dog Violet fairy, and it's just a fussy cut fairy on some layering paper and labelled tea dyed paper. This is some handmade paper that's got bits of rose petal in it. I just thought it was quite nice to add something a bit different that was flower themed. So yeah, it's just some handmade paper. Here we've got some music paper. I don't know what I did with this fairy, but for somewhere along the line I lost her label. I know she's the hazelnut fairy, but she's the only one that's not labelled, because after I fussy cut her out and stuck her to the paper, I couldn't find the label. So yeah, she's the hazelnut fairy, music paper. Here we have a pocket, and this is the Xena fairy. Some of them I can't pronounce, I'm sorry, you're just gonna have to bear with me on that. And again, this was the only image I had of her, so I don't have her song or thing in the pocket. So in this pocket what I've done is just put one of the other fairies that were left over when I finished the journal. So this one is the Lady Smock fairy. So there's her image and there's her song that's been decoratively stitched. And that should, they will slip in. I'm just it's more awkward for me because I'm on camera, but they all go in very easily. And then on the other side there is a tag tuck. Now in between the chapters of the book she had these like little black and white drawings, so I have used some of those in the journal as well, because they're just so cute, aren't they? So that's a tag tuck, and obviously because it was between a chapter, that's not a fairy, well, it's a fairy but it's not a named fairy and it doesn't have its song. So with this one I put the strawberry fairy. So there's her song and her image, and they tuck in there. And on this page there is a large bottom corner pocket, and we have the acorn fairy. Now with this one what I did was I fussy cut him out and I attached him to an Edith Holden page of acorns. He's been fussy cut so it looks like he was sat on the branch, but if you actually look at his original image you'll see he's sat on a different branch from where I've cut him out. So that was part of his picture there, but this is Edith Holden's page here. So yeah, and he's the acorn fairy. There is his picture and his song. And on this is the center of the first signature. Now, they are quite small signatures. Originally, I was only going to do 2 signatures, but because, as usual, I went way overboard with all the pockets and everything, I get carried away because I enjoy them so much. I had to split it up into 3 signatures, but they're 3 smaller signatures. Again, I haven't said how many pages are in here because I haven't counted them, but what I will do is I will count the pages and I will put it in the description below so you know how many pages there are. But yeah, this is the center of the first signature, and this is the Snowdrop Fairy. So what I did here was they're 2 CD envelopes, as you can see. The outsides have been decorated with fussy cuts from the Edith Holden page, and then the flower fairies are on the inside. So this CD cover is a flip out, so that flips out like that. There's a journal spot on the back, and inside this envelope there is her song. So there's the song of the flower fairy, of the Snowdrop Fairy, sorry, and that goes in there. And then on this side there is, this one doesn't flip out, and there is the Snowdrop Fairy. So there she is, the Snowdrop Fairy. Now, I wanted to do this journal bigger than normal. I can't exactly remember why I wanted to do it bigger, but I did. And I didn't have many pages that were big enough to fit in it because A4 was too small, obviously. So what I did was I took some A4 tea-dyed paper and then I sewed strips of different papers down the sides. So they're like patchworked together. So, and I actually really quite like the effect. I think it adds to it, to be honest. I think it's really nice, but it's a way of, you can make bigger pages if you want bigger pages. I know some people would take 2 pages and just join them down the middle, but I didn't really want to do that. So I kind of patchworked the pages together with like Edith Holden pages, music paper, book paper. This is handmade paper. So that's the first center of the first signature. And then here, as you see, like this is handmade paper. It's got bits of flowers in it, and I've just stitched them together. Here we have a little pocket that's got some stamping on, and in this pocket we have the Cornflower Fairy. So there's her song, and there's her image. They're so pretty. I do like the flower fairy images. There are a lot that I really like, but I think my favourite ones are the trees and the grasses, because she also does some grasses. And on the other side there is a cluster, again with another stamped flower. This is the Bird's Foot trefoil fairy. There you go. On here I've just fussy cut an image of one of the fairies. This is the Herb Robert fairy, and just stuck him down to just break up the music page really. On the other side it's plain. Here is the handmade paper with the rose petals in. And on this page I've done like a double pocket. So there's a large bottom pocket that's made out of corrugated card. These are the gauze fairies. And so I fussy cut a bit of gauze out of the Edith Holden page and put it with their image. Now I've actually put their image and their song in the smaller pocket. So here you have the gauze fairies and their song. And then I did a different fairies for the big pocket. So here we have the Winter Jasmine fairy. That's I chose him because he's yellow. Kind of went with the gauze, I thought. So then there's just some tea-dyed paper, your ledger paper as well. And here we have a big double pocket. This one's the daffodil fairy. I've just fussy cut her, and this is the Edith Holden page that I've put her on. In the front pocket there is her song, and in the back pocket there is the larger image of her. And that's the first signature. There's some more tea-dyed paper. And then on the start of the second signature, there is a long side pocket. This is the Harebell fairy. Again, I've just fussy cut her and used an Edith Holden page on there. And there is her image and her song. There's just some patchwork paper page, patchwork page, and music paper again with another cluster on. This one is the Speedwell fairy, and he's just been fussy cut. Music paper. This is some, it's kind of like tracing paper, but it's a lot thicker. I like it because it crinkles. But it's been tea dyed, and on here is a pocket. This is the Candy Tuff fairy. Now in this pocket I've only put her song because I only had the one image of her and I used it as the pocket, so I've just included her song in her pocket. So there's a tag with her song on, and also that flips out. On the other side there is just a journal spot of some dyed paper. I had some lined dyed paper and I tried to tea dye it, but it made the lines run, and I quite like how it's made the colours run, so yeah, I used that. There's some patchwork paper. On the other side here we have a top pocket. And again, this is the Silver Birch fairy. I cut her out and I have stuck her on a Edith Holden page of some silver birch. There are a couple of little charms hanging off of this one. There is a leaf charm and a little flower charm. I don't know if you can see that. Hopefully that's in shot and focusing. But yeah, and then in the pocket is her song. I did some decorative stitching at the sides of these ones, and her image. And then they just, come on, I know you're going. There you go. They just slot in there like so. Here is a book page from a flower book. This is ivy-leaved toad flax. And on the other side I have it was just plain print, so I fussy cut one of the fairies out. This is the Spindleberry fairy and fairy, and just glued it onto the page really, just a fussy cut image. This is a large envelope, and on the back of the envelope I've done a little notebook pocket. This is a notebook pocket. So this is the Greater Knapweed fairy. I actually thought they were thistles, but apparently that's a different thing. So that's her. And then inside her pocket I've just done the one journal card, but put both her image and her song on. So it's just the one card because this envelope was getting so bulky. And then on the other side, I've done a fussy cut image of the rush grass and cotton grass fairies. I'm assuming this is the rush grass one and this is the cotton grass one. And then inside again, I've done the same thing where I've just put one big card with their image and their song on the same card. And then that slips in like so. And there's just tea dyed paper. And this is the center of the next signature. So with this one, what I did was I fussy cut both the fairies and the Edith Holden page out, and then backed it on some handmade paper. So this is like a handmade paper, and I backed them on. So with this one, the Blackberry Fairy, this is the fairy that I've cut her out, and then I cut out the branch of the blackberries and done it so that it looks like she's sitting on the branch. I think, oh no, she's sat on leaves in the image, but that's her image and that's her song. And then on the other side, I did a top pocket of the Hawthorn Fairy, and again I just cut out this fairy, and then this is the branch from the Edith Holden page, and made it so that it looks like she sat on that branch rather than the branch in her picture. And that's what took so long with this book, was all this delicate fussy cutting that I did seemed to just make it take so much longer. But I'm really happy with the result and the effect. I think it's lovely. I'm not really say that this fairies are my go-to thing. It's a bit out of my comfort zone, I think, doing fairies, but I have to say I did enjoy doing this journal. I enjoyed it a lot. I do enjoy fussy cutting. I find it quite relaxing. Anyway, I'm starting to ramble. Then we have tea dyed paper. This is the other side of the envelope. So here I've done a fussy cut image of the Larch Fairy. And in there is, again, just one long card with the image and the song on. And then on the other side, I did a tag tuck. This is of the Elm Tree Fairy. He's just been fussy cut out, and he's on a tag with some tissue paper and fabric. And in his tag is his song, and there's his image. And here we have the book page. This has got a Ragged Robin on it. And on the other side, it's got a globe flower on it, apparently. There's some more quilted paper. And then here we have a flip out. Let me try and move it over a bit. Hopefully you can see that this is a flip out. So on this flip out, I've done an altered paper clip of a poppy, but that's because it's the Poppy Fairy. So what I did was, this is an image from an Edith Holden page. I fussy cut her out, a little version of her, because it was quite hard to cut her out so that she didn't cover all of the poppies from the Edith Holden page. So I've cut a small version of her out and put her with the Edith Holden poppies. And there is her larger image. And there is her song. And because this is a flip out and not a pocket, but I still wanted to include her image and song, I just included them separately and paper clipped them onto the flip out. And then on the other side of the flip out, I've done a little pocket of the Scarabaeus fairy. I couldn't find any images in the Edith Holden book of Scarabaeus, so I've just taken a image of, or a strip of Edith Holden paper and made it into a pocket, and it's just a little tuck. Did a fussy cut of the fairy and put her there. There's her song, and there's her image. They just go in there. And then on this side is the kind of thick tracing paper type, and there is an envelope on here, a distressed envelope. This is a dandelion fairy. It's been bit of fabric. There's some of her song there, and then inside there is her little song. No, that's not her song, that's his image, and there's his song, and they just tuck into the envelope. Oh, what's that attached to? Oh, there's a bit of cotton coming off of the fabric because of from where it's frayed. Here again, see, this is one of the black and white images that she has in the book, between the chapters and that. So I fussy cut this one out and put it on the music paper. Here is the what was I calling it? Quilted, patchwork paper. And on this side there is a little flip out tag of the white clover fairy. So this is a little altered paper clip I made from I bought some of these paper flowers, and I've just attached it to the paper clip with some on some cards. So that's a little flowered paper clip, and that flips out. There's a tiny little tag on the pocket or tuck on the back, and I've put a little tag in there of one of the little black and white images. And then again, with the other flip out of the poppy, I wanted to include her image and her song, so I have included them. There's her page and there's her song, but as again this isn't a pocket, I've just tucked them behind. I just tucked them behind and then paper clipped them on like so. And that's the second signature. So third signature, we just start off with the journal paper, and then here we have a banner tuck, a banner top tuck, and this is the Buttercup fairy. So just fussy cut the fairy out and labelled it. Here's her song, and there is her image. And that tucks up there. And here we have another page from the book page. This is just some old botanical book, but I quite liked the images. So this is a greater celandine, and then on the other side there is a whole load of different pictures, flowers from the forget-me-not or something. I'm not going to list them all, but yeah, they're just images from a botanical book. Sorry, I just can't seem to get my words out today. I'm quite tired. And then we have a kind of a paper bag pocket that I made myself out of some brown paper, and what I've done here is I've done some slides of some butterflies and then fussy cut a little fairy and put it on the side, so it looks like she's kind of looking at the slide, I suppose, in a way. This is a pocket, and it has just the butterflies on it. I tried to match them as close as I possibly could, so that when it's in there, it still kind of looked like a slide. But I was close. They're a little bit out, but I was I was close. So yeah, and then in the bag is her image, the chicory, I don't know, fairy, and her song. Oh, you must all be laughing at me the way I'm pronouncing these fairies. I'm rubbish at it. And yeah, see, like I say, it's like a brown paper bag, but I made it myself out of brown paper. And then what I did here was I took some of the handmade paper with the petals in, and then I took some string from a bit of Hessian. Hessian fabric. I pulled it apart so that I had bits of string, and then I had a stencil, a punch stencil, and I punched the stencil out and then filled it in with the Hessian string to make the flower. So it's like a sewn flower on paper. And then I made it into a tuck spot. Again, it's not a flower fairy, so it didn't have, I just included a random fairy that was left over. So this is the elderberry fairy. There's her image. And there is her song. And that goes in there. Then we just have some tea-dyed paper. There is some tissue paper, not tissue, yes, tissue, what am I saying? It's kind of like tissue, maybe a bit thicker than tissue. Paper. Here we have a top pocket. This one is the pear blossom fairy. He's quite sweet. He's just been, like I did with the acorn fairy, I fussy cut him out and then sat him on a bit of pear blossom from the Edith Holden page. So this is the image from the book, and this is the Edith Holden page. If you look at his image, you see there's his image, kind of cut out this bit and stuck it on. So there's his image, and there is his song, and they just pop up in there. Here is some more tea-dyed paper. Here is a this is the back of an envelope. So what I've done is I've attached an envelope as a flip out, and this is the other side of the envelope. I've put some dried flowers on this envelope with a, oh sorry, knocked it. So they're real dried flowers. Just wait for it to stop rocking, if it's going to. And a wax seal, and that's like a little tuck spot. Again, I've just put a random fairy that was left over when I was finished into the tuck spot. These are pretty little flowers. I've glued them down quite well, so they should last. And in this one I put the Scarabus fairy. And there's her image and her poem, and that tucks in like so. And then on the other side, this is the centre of the last signature. This is the envelope. So on this envelope I've done the honeysuckle fairy. Again, I fussy cut the fairy, and then I fussy cut honeysuckle out of the Edith Holden page and attached them both to the envelope. And then that flips out. Here what I did was with his song, I didn't want to leave that plain, so with his song I took some of it out and attached it to the envelope. Well, it's actually all the song, but so there's his song and there is his image to that flip out. And then on the other side I've done the foxglove fairy. So again, it's just an Edith Holden page with the fussy cutting of the fairy attached to it. there is his song, foxgloves, and there is his image. And then I just decorated it with a little doily and a button. This is plain for writing, tea dye paper, plain. Here we have the tissue paper with another cluster on, and this is the Primrose Fairy. Tea dye paper. So here I have done another corner side pocket. So this is a long side pocket. This is the Rose Bay Willow Herb Fairy. That's a mouthful, isn't it? The Rose Bay Willow Herb Fairy. This is the Edith Holden page. I've cut the fairy out. I've put some dried flowers on. I've attached a little tag that's got some flowers on and a little ticket and some buttons. And then in the pocket I have just done her song, like there. And then there is her image. And they go into the pocket. There's this paper bag, and again on this paper bag I have done another slide. I'm just holding it up because it doesn't sit flat without me bending it back. So there's a slide, this one of brown butterflies, and this is the Marigold Fairy. And again in the slide there is another tag that's got the butterflies on. And they slide in to there and match up with the butterflies. That's catching a bit. And inside the bag is her image and her song. And that slips into the bag. That's just catching a bit. There, got it, the angle. And then on the other side of the book page is some honeysuckle. So that's some honeysuckle. And on the other side of there, I've done a little corner tuck. This is the Labrium Fairy. I don't know. And she's on an iris page. There's her image and her little song. Here is some quilt patchwork paper again, with some of the handmade paper. And on the back pocket there is a fabric pocket on the back. What I did was I fussy cut the fairy out. This is the fuchsia fairy. So I cut her out. If I show you her image. There's her image. So I cut her out, and then I printed her onto some fabric, fabric transfer paper, and then I ironed her on. So she's actually, the image is actually on the fabric pocket. And then I just stamped the fuchsia fairy on some bits of fabric and made a fabric pocket. But there's her image and there is her song. Apparently this is a little outdoor fuchsia. I know you can get indoor fuchsias as well. I like fuchsias. Fuchsias remind me of my grandmother. She used to have a big fuchsia bush in her garden. And then on the back cover, it's the same as the front cover. It's just a large pocket of the Slow Fairy, and in her pocket is a large card of her and her song. So yeah, that's my flower fairy journal. I hope I managed to keep it in camera the whole time. It's quite big, it's quite a chunky one, mainly because I just go crazy with the pockets. But I'm actually really pleased with it. I love it, and I would love to know your feedback on this one. Like I said, I am doing another one which is a a little bit different to this one, but I am doing another one. It's just as big though, just it's going to roughly, it's going to be the same size. It is the same size, but yeah, I am doing another one, but I would love to know your feedback on this. I'm starting to discover that I think I enjoy doing journals without kits more these days than with kits. I don't know why. It just seems to be going that way. Anyway, again, I'm rambling, so I'm going to leave it there. I will be listing this in my shop. I will put the link in the description below, and I will also let you know how many pages are in it in the link below. So yeah, thanks for watching. Please do like and subscribe if you haven't, and give me your feedback. So thanks so much. Bye.